What's going on, guys? Ineos for Techinbits here. Today we are taking a look at the Jawbone UP24, a certain upgrade from the original UP, its successor. And let's dive into this review. Not an intro, because here it is and that's it. No close-up shots, it's as small as it is. So let's dive into wearing comfort to start things off. So when this is around your wrists, it's really simple. I happen to have a medium-sized arm as well, medium-sized ears, medium-sized arms, and medium-sized, I think it's time to be quiet about that. So as you guys can see, we have the Jawbone logo at the bottom, and then we have the wristband itself. It's certainly a bit thick. It's thicker than I suppose it would be, and since I do have the medium-sized model, but it's still a bit thick, especially since it's not wide enough to compensate with the thickness of the device itself, in my opinion. So the first problem I have with this device is once you go flat, for example on your laptop, your MacBook Air, you are typing, you will scratch the surface itself. I happen to turn this emblem one notch, and then I didn't have that scratching except for the button right here. So the scratching still is a problem. You can of course wear it like this, but then you have the thick side at the bottom, and then you have a certain feel that I don't like. If you are a person, for example, who has a mouse mat with an elevated wrist surface, you will like this, because your wrist is elevated and you will be able to type as such. But in my opinion, I'm not a fan of elevation at the wrist. I'm used to having using my wrists and all that, although it's not as ergonomic as it should be. So when we are talking about the Jawbone UP and its functionality, you definitely consider this device because of its sleeping registration and its step counting, and we'll dive into each category at a different point in time. So here I have my Nexus, and as you guys can see, I have plenty of apps, and at the end we have the UP. So as you guys, if my camera wants to focus, and I'm here, hello. And diving into the application itself, once I'll be able to zoom right here, we can go into the UP section, and as you guys can see, I have 95% of my sleeping. I just entered 8 hours of sleeping time, and I have set yet another 458 steps. This is too much because I didn't have 458 steps. That's the big problem, disadvantage with this device, because it registers steps that I didn't have. So for example, if I do this, and I will register it as, for example, 10 steps, which is not that great because you want it to be accurate. Maybe Jawbone needs to consider pairing this with the GPS function of your cell phone or something else like that, since that would be much more accurate. For example, the Moves application does register a lot less steps, but still matches, for example, when I'm on a bicycle, it still registers some steps. So the interface is really nice. So you have each day you can register what you are eating with a large database, and then we have the smiley notification, so I am down or I am feeling amazing. So since you guys are watching this, I feel amazing. Okay. So that's that, and then we have a few charts or notes for that matter, who tell you how to use the UP, how the community is using the UP, and so on. It's really intuitive to have this. For example, you get to know a certain feature. For example, if you drag to the right, you can set your goals. That's the first function. So for example, 8 hours of sleep and 10,000 of moving steps. You can set it at 20,000 steps, so if you ever have more steps than that, you really are a pro in. So we'll go back. Then we have Lifeline. I have been using this for about a week or so. So as you guys can see, I certainly moved. I was stressed for this review, so I began with running around, and I had a certain amount of sleep. Here we are, and as you guys can see on the chart itself, we have the function to have a mediocre sleep and a deep sleep. And I happen to sleep a lot lately, so 8 hours is plenty. Then we have the orange is that you are awake but you are laying in bed, and it registers this by pressing the button. So for example, if I do this, you can see a moon flashes up, and then it registers that I am supposed to be in bed. You do have to disable this function again, and this is not as convenient, but it detects that you are moving quite a lot, and it asks you if you still are sleeping or not. So here we have steps again, and you can see my progress, and again I have achieved 100% once. So I'm not the kind of active person, and I must say that I didn't get motivated by this application. So it failed in there, but the only thing I do really like is that it registers my sleep, and it has a smart alarm. I use this all the time. So instead of just an alarm set when at a certain time, this will register whether you are in a deep sleep or a mid-deep sleep. If you are in a mid-deep sleep, it will detect that, and it will set your alarm off. I have set it for 20 minutes before, and most of the times it gets around 13 minutes before the alarm goes off, and it wakes you by vibrating the armband itself, which is great because I happen to sleep with my girlfriend, and she doesn't like to get up so early. So what I do is I set my alarm right here, and it buzzes me awake, but since I'm in a bed with my girlfriend, she doesn't get up as soon as I do, since due to that smart alarm. And it does, I must say that it's really an advantage, but because I detected that once I get up with the smart alarm, I am more awake at that time than I would be awake when another alarm sets off. But for example, today, if I can show you, probably will, my alarm was set off at 7 o'clock, and then I had a deep sleep after that. So you can still mute it, and that's the only flaw with this alarm. It should disable that, or at least an option to disable this function, because when your alarm goes off, you can set it off just by pressing this once. And once you get that, your alarm gets off, and you push this button and you're set to go. Another half an hour of sleep goes into your brains, and your day starts half an hour later. So this snooze button or something like that shouldn't be an option, in my case at least. So it should have an option to disable this. So all to all, guys, the Jawbone Up has been a breeze to work with. It synchronizes wirelessly. It is really an icon, really. Everybody is asking what this band around my arm is, and once you get used to wearing it, as you are wearing a watch, it certainly isn't bothering you during the day, at least if you're not typing on any type of surface. So that was it, guys. This was my review of the Jawbone UP24. I'll have another Jawbone product in another review, and a screen coming up to you as soon as possible, so stay tuned, subscribe for more. Liking this video will get you a date with Pamela Anderson, and subscribing will get you a large can of cookies. Peace.